Good afternoon. Welcome to Trail Talk. Am I muted? Hold on just a second. There we go. Just a second. Sorry about that. The other side needs to be muted. Just a second, guys. We'll be right back. Okay, there you go. Okay. Back and ready to roll. Wow, that was crazy. Welcome to Trail Talk. I'm Edie, and we are live at the Chisholm Trail Heritage Center in Duncan, Oklahoma. Mary will be joining me soon. She was behind the camera for just a few minutes. Anyway, we're so glad you guys tuned in today. We are continuing our series on Oklahoma symbols and emblems. We're going to talk about reptile and amphibian today. And yeah, I mean, let's just go all gross and creepy crawly, right? Let's just dive in. Super slimy. I mean, gross. Reptiles and amphibians. Am I right? Anyway, is it? Oh, okay. Okay. You guys have really just been so great. I've heard a lot of comments and seen a lot of comments about this series. And so I'm pretty excited to be able to just kind of keep eking it out. We really have a ton of symbols and emblems and besides the animals, there's all sorts of things like the dinosaur, and then there's several different types of songs and just a poem and all sorts of things like that. So it'll be really fun as we continue this study to just really devote a week to one or two of those items. So anyway, but let's get back to nature today, and we're going to talk about the old reptile and amphibian. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump in on this. The collared lizard is our state reptile. And if you have never seen one of these up close and personal, you are missing out. If you go to the Wichita Mountains, which if you look at this picture, this looks like it's right out of the Wichita Mountains, the way the rocks are. That's exactly the kind of rock formations that are over there. So, yeah, I mean, look at that beauty. That is a great looking lizard. I'll share my personal encounter with said lizard. Anyway, so this was selected because it is one of the most interesting zoological specimens in Oklahoma and has been a state symbol since 1969. Wow, the same year they landed on the moon. There you go. Anyway, this collared lizard is really officially known as the eastern collared lizard, but their range is quite far-reaching. It's not limited, but you may be more familiar with calling it a mountain boomer. That was what I was really used to hearing. Yes, exactly. There are some differing I don't know, legends as to why it's called the mountain boomer.
Gets its name.
Yes, I thought that this was kind of funny, but the one source said that it implies that this lizard makes a booming sound. Well, it probably originated in the Southwest U.S., where settlers may have seen the lizards on the rocks while hearing the barking call of a local frog species. Another idea,
rush.
school of thought, yeah, came from the days of the settlers traveling west for the gold in them thar hills. And the settlers mistook the sound of the wind in the canyons for the call of an animal in an area where the collared lizard was abundant. Here's the truth of the matter, people. The mountain boomer is silent, which makes them even more sneaky. You cannot hear them coming.
They won't be booming.
No, they will not be booming. They will be down by your feet before you even know, because they are fast, lightning fast. Anyway, so you can easily distinguish this kind of broken black collar and then the solid black collar back here. This is a male of the species because he has the yellow spots, the brightly colored legs, belly, tail, the reddish, orangish, really orangey colored head. The head of the male is very large, especially compared to its body.
Right.
About a third of it. Yeah, and then the tail is actually longer than the body. And so that's an interesting bit of information about them. They are, let's see what this next. So they're pretty easy to spot. You can see this guy, yeah, he's got a lot of green on him. And the female, of course, yeah, she's not looking too pretty. She's not standing out, but she does have the collar there.
Right.
But her tail is especially long too. But they love to soak up the sun, and so in the summer months they'll be seen basking in the sun, exactly, catching those rays, laying on those warm rocks. It's something that they definitely do. So like from here to here, we usually have about a 4-inch measurement roughly. The female is not, I mean, maybe half an inch shorter, but the tail adds a significant amount of length to them. Usually found on rocky habitats, and the Wichita Mountains are a perfect example of that.
Western Arkansas, Missouri, east and northern, south, northern Kansas to at least the north central Mexico.
Yeah, so we're just kind of right there in the middle of them. They're active as early as mid-March through September, so get on over to the Wildlife Refuge and find yourself one to take a picture with.
Do not take them.
Yes. The females can have, like, I read like 4 to 10 usually eggs in a clutch. Oftentimes they might even have 2 clutches of eggs in a season. And this is, I didn't realize this was a commonality among lizards, but the larger the female, the more eggs she will lay. So there's a little tidbit for you. You may not be familiar with.
The smaller.
Yeah, I just did not even think that was a thing. So they have a pretty hearty appetite.
Yes.
They like to eat, like grasshoppers and cicadas, which when that cicada thing comes through this year, I'm gonna say the collared lizards may get big enough to take over after the cicada invasion. Yeah, they'll be eaten good.
They will.
They also eat other small invertebrates, including other lizards.
So
I don't know.
Bigger on the food chain,
I guess. Yeah, the bigger you are, the better. I don't know. They these males have like powerful jaws.
Also, you definitely tell the difference in the head size of here.
Yes,
female.
And they can cause like a serious injury to other lizards, but also if they bite a human, it can break the skin. They're not poisonous. You're not going to catch or be poisoned from them. But you would definitely, I mean, a lizard bite needs to be tended to properly. But they fight amongst themselves. Well, there were two behavioral ecologists, Stanley Fox and Troy Baird from Oklahoma, who did a study and were able to demonstrate that near neighbor territorial males were less aggressive to each other than they were to unfamiliar males. So that means that say in the Wichita Mountains, there's an area and there are
used to living amounts.
The guys let them just enjoy pictures of them, experience them, from a distance. I do have a picture. The female, so this female is actually carrying eggs right now. That means like she hasn't laid the eggs yet. And the way you know is the bright red coloration on her body. That is an indicator that she is great with eggs.
I wonder why they do that, because you think that would be a thing that they would slowly mark them for.
Right. Well, that's true. That's true. I don't, unless that is a signal to the another male that
Possibly
taken. Yeah, maybe so, something like that. Anyway, but once she lays the egg, she goes back to the non-bright colors. And then I love this little picture. Look at this little hatchling. All hatchlings, male and female, have the same type of colors. Yeah, but you can see how small that lizard is.
Nail.
Little tiny claws. Yeah, I mean, that's a man's thumbnail there. So they are very small when they hatch, but I thought that was a super cool, super cool picture. Oh, so I did, okay, so the one source said they lay 4 to 10 eggs, another said 1 to 13. So there's a great range of variation
area too
on that.
Are habitating in.
Right. And but once that dude hatches out, it's on its own.
Yeah.
The parents just leave them. And nature, they've got it figured out. So yeah, here he is, the collared lizard. 3D coming at you. I wish
Yes.
this was 3D. Wouldn't that be so cool?
Yes.
Yes.
You called upon me.
You rang.
And
Yeah.
my wisdom.
Yeah. So the Oklahoma state reptile, the collared lizard, a beauty. Oh, now here's my collared lizard story.
Okay.
We were hiking in the Wichita Mountains. This was 20 plus years ago. So AJ, our youngest, was probably, well, he was probably 3 maybe, or maybe he was 4. Anyway, so I was holding him. I was kind of carrying him up, and we were standing on this flat rock. And I looked down, and one of these things is coming at me. I mean, he is like 3 or 4 feet away from me. And I thought, if this lizard runs up my leg, I do not know what. I'm sorry, AJ. I'm just
you're the baby.
Woo, I mean, and it just kind of took off the other direction. But some of the information I read said that they can stand up on their back legs and run upright.
Like a cartoon character like you've seen.
Yeah, or a dinosaur or something.
Well, yeah.
I don't know. Anyway,
that's what it would look like.
I'm telling you, if that thing would have reared up on its back legs, poor AJ. Yeah. So anyway,
say no children were hurt.
No, yeah,
in the making of this.
Yeah, this story.
This history lesson.
Yes. Anyway, yeah. So I've had a close encounter with a mountain bear.
The collared kind.
The collared kind. Yes. I don't know. I think I might be a little calmer now. You know, I wouldn't be holding, and I wouldn't be responsible for another person's life if I, freaked out. But anyway, big and beautifully colored, but still, it was a lot.
Still kind of,
So the Oklahoma State Amphibian is the bullfrog. Okay. Mary's pretty excited about talking about this guy. The bullfrog was selected in 1997 because it's an integral part of the ecology of Oklahoma and generally represents the importance of all species of amphibians to the environment and our state. So, I mean, they do play a role, like we were talking about the lizard, the grasshoppers and cicadas, although it seems like they've been slacking a little on the grasshopper situation. We've had a few recent years, but the bullfrogs also, they eat insects and things like that, although they get pretty big. Do you remember? I'm sure you don't remember. When I was a kid, there was like this horror movie called The Frogs.
Oh, I'm sure I never.
And there were some
area in my life that
massive frogs, and I remember one like for the trailer or the movie poster or whatever. It was like a human hand hanging out of a big old frog's mouth. Sorry, I had a flashback, and I'm coming back to reality now. Okay. They are the largest real frog found in North America. And they can weigh up to and over 1 pound and can be 18 inches long. 1.5 feet long. Man, average length is like 6 inches. But that's probably because they don't all live very long. There was one, I think it said it lived to be 16 years old or something in captivity, but that's a lot. And whoever was keeping that thing, I mean, seriously.
The flies, come on.
Anyway, so they're like shades of brown and green. You know, they're very camouflaged.
They do fit in really with their surroundings.
Yes, they do. They're gonna, of course, live near water. That's a thing for the frogs.
Definitely hear them at nighttime in the summer.
Yes, their back feet are fully webbed, and you can tell a male from a female by this thing right here. If this is called a tympanum. It's an external ear.
A little earring.
So if it's larger than the eye of the frog, then it is male. If it is the same size or smaller, then it is female. So there you go.
They just male there.
Big boy, big old boy. Also, this coloration being yellow indicates male, where the females are typically white. right there.
Right there.
Yeah, all times of the year, whether it's, you know, breeding season or whatever. Okay, so they are very aggressive and defend their territories, and
loosen it over
they
there.
can literally, they wrestle.
No.
They wrestle with each other. Again, I wish I'd found a picture of some bullfrog wrestling.
I'm just freaking out of it.
Because I feel like that would have been, I mean, it's like the jackrabbit slap fight, you know,
Right.
the bullfrog wrestling. I'm really going to be looking for some. If I find a video of that, guys,
send it to her.
Yeah, exactly. I'd love it. Their call is a low frequency, very deep.
Yes.
And I never thought it sounded like this, but it's more than one source called it a jugarum. Like jugarum. I don't know, jugarum. I don't know where the emphasis is. I'll just leave it with you. But they have good vision and sense vibrations well. So anyway, maybe that's why they're so deep bass. Yeah, the vibration that would come with that really communicates. One another. Maybe so.
It'd be kind of like a radar type deal.
So these guys are predators. All right. And they eat snakes, although I saw a picture of a snake eating a bullfrog. Don't worry, it was too weird. I'm not putting it on here, but
I was afraid to plug.
It was a lot. They eat snakes, worms, insects, crustaceans, other frogs, tadpoles, aquatic eggs of fish, frogs, insects, or salamanders. They're cannibalistic.
Obviously.
I'm having second thoughts on whether I think this is really the best amphibian to represent our state.
Yeah.
I don't know that every amphibian is a cannibal.
Right.
Yeah. There have been a few cases of bullfrogs being found eating bats.
Bats?
And yeah, another thing. Yeah, and I'd like to see a video or picture of that one. I mean, but they are also prey to a number of animals besides people, which we're saving the frog leg discussion for last. Sometimes there's even a limited hunting season, although a lot of information talked about
the overpopulation.
Yes, overpopulation. They're invasive, and because of all the things they eat, they kill off smaller and other species of frogs.
Oh yeah.
When they have been introduced, whether on purpose or not, they have been introduced.
And they eat it.
Yeah, and they've been found in other habitats where they're having a negative impact on the population of other animals. So, yeah. So I mean, and they're pretty hardy. There's with all the global warming and everything, they are able to adapt to warmer water temperatures without it having any kind of an impact
or any kind of negative effect on
it. So maybe the frogs wasn't so far-fetched. Maybe because people knew more about frogs than we think. Yeah. They are actually adapting even to different things humans are doing to, like waterways and things like that.
Really, like
just like
waste
or human adding concrete and things like that. They're adapting to all of that. They have a longer breeding season and a high rate of surviving through the tadpole stage. So North American bullfrogs, they like to be around lake, pond, river, bog, warm, calm, shallow waters. And if you think about it, there are man-made streams and places like that would fit some of that information. Yeah. They're being it's much more common for them to be found in areas that are changed by humans. So here's the tadpole life cycle. Not exactly.
You can tell the way that she looked on it.
So when I was a kid at my mom and dad's house, they have there's kind of a little bit of a ridge where there's some trees planted, and then there was a like a terrace. And so when it would rain, that place would fill with water. And we would go and get tadpoles every time after a big rain. Yeah, there'd just be tons of tadpoles. And we kept some alive and until they had little legs sticking out. I mean, the little back legs pop out. They still have the tail. They have little back legs. That I don't think they made it this far, but we kept some tadpoles alive for a while.
Or whatever those little things were back in the day. You had your tadpoles.
That's right. That's right. Anyway, so they about 4 days after fertilization. So what happens is the female deposits the eggs and then the males fertilize the eggs. And then about 4 days after that, little tadpoles emerge in a floating mass, which we could see them, you know, like that. And at first it's like a giant eyeball with a little tail on it. It's kind of what it looks like. They have gills and a tail, and eventually that disappears and it transforms into a froglet.
Froglet. Okay.
Which is a great name, right? Tadpole development, though, is quite slow, and it may take from 1 to 3 years to begin transformation from the tadpole stage into the adult stage.
Really?
Now, the ones we had,
I was going to say, man,
I don't know that they were bullfrogs, but they were some kind of frog because they didn't take that long. Now, they took several weeks, maybe even months. But this is adults reach sexual maturity in 3 to 5 years. Oh, here we go. The average lifespan of a bullfrog is 7 to 9 years, but there's one that lived in captivity for 16 years. What are you feeding that frog to keep it alive for 16 years? Yeah. So they're not like nocturnal, diurnal, anything like that. Just whenever they'll bury themselves up in mud and kind of hide themselves. And then they'll just sit and wait for something to come by. And then
reminds me of like those people in the army that have all those things that just, you know, hide out.
You just walk right past them and not even see it. Exactly. Well, and then something comes close and they'll just, you know, zap that tongue out and catch, which having a sticky tongue is just.
I mean, that would be kind of cool, I guess, but.
But I mean, think about how the size of one of these frogs, how big they have to be to take in, because they don't have chewing teeth. You know, so there's
acid.
Yeah, swallowing and all that stuff, these large animals. So I was telling Mary, when I was a kid, I was a teenager. One summer, my cousins, aunt and uncle, everybody was around. It was at night, and we had already decided during the day that we were going to go frog gigging that night at the pond. My mom and dad have a pond and creek and everything. So we took like those, I mean, it's not a harpoon, but it's like a shoot. I guess it is kind of a harpoon thing. It's a little thing that you shoot. It had like a pointed deal and had a line attached to it. And so we'd shoot those frogs. I think maybe my brother or cousin maybe took a gun too to shoot. Anyway, we got a bunch of frogs. We brought them back up to the house. We cut their back legs off of them to eat. And they weren't all dead. And so they dragged their little bodies with their little short front legs. Yeah, it was. I don't know why I was
for all the safety.
I don't know what I was doing. Yeah, and
like she said, she was a teenager.
So the mountain boomer tail, it doesn't easily come off, and if it does, it doesn't grow back. Here's another thing: frog legs don't grow back either. But in some places, they are considered a delicacy. You know, honestly, it tastes like a chicken wing. It tastes like you're eating a chicken wing.
So I don't eat chicken wings.
Yeah.
I really eat chicken.
But I mean, yeah, you just like cut the back end of it off, and there's a lot of meat. I mean, imagine a frog that's that big. And now some of the information I read made it sound like people ate more than just the legs, but I can't imagine. I can't imagine what that would be. Yeah. But I mean, these legs that long. I mean, the frogs would have
They got some
been a
jumpers
good,
on them.
yeah, a good 12-inch, you know, long. And
they got this bikini.
Yeah, I know. It's really, this is really crazy. But I have seen them on menus in restaurants.
Yeah, they're delicacies.
Yeah,
people like to
yeah
eat them and enjoy them.
And here in Oklahoma, the bullfrog is not endangered. Like we talked about, they're invasive. So I don't know. Some places folks might
encourage it.
Yeah, encourage that hunting time. Yeah. But here you go. This is just you can see really well the front legs, not webbed, the back legs, the feet are fully webbed.
The bubble,
yeah.
So he's like right there in the water.
Yeah. And this would be male. He's yellow under here. We can't, you can just see a little bit of the tympanum and it looks pretty large. So when you hear, we don't ever hear these kind of frogs. We have those screaming, screeching frogs, whatever, in town. Ugh.
They're not pleasant.
I'd like to turn a bullfrog loose and let it eat some of them. But anyway, next time you see a bullfrog, one time we went to Branson and we went to see the Shepherd of the Hills, this big play, and it's in this big, you know, you walk down into this hill. It's a super cool venue. But there's like a break thing in the middle of it, and all the kids get to go down and they have these bags, these tow sacks full of bullfrogs. And everybody, they all get to pick a bullfrog and they have bullfrog races. Yeah. And I mean, those dudes can jump too. They are, I mean, their legs, they can really take off. So anyway, I mean, they're a very common animal, but that is our state amphibian. So there you have it, guys. The Oklahoma State reptile and amphibian. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for sticking with us through the little glitch. We're gonna get that thing fixed. It's on its way. It's on its way. Yeah. So tomorrow we plan to talk to you guys about some things going on in the summer and kind of get you ready for all the excitement going to be going on around here. We got a lot of fun things to tell you about. Right. So we'll see you tomorrow at 3. And until then, happy trails.